Hello and welcome to a little rundown on employees in OnAir. So here's my tutorial company that we used for the getting started tutorial, and I'm going to just quickly pop into skills, and you can see that I've unlocked here the hiring agreement skill. So this is necessary in order to hire AI employees. So if I go back and I go to employees, I can see here that my only employee is me. So I want to hire some new employees. Let's say I want to hire another pilot. So I want to go to global job market. And it's going to think about this for a second. And it's going to present me with a list of all the pilots that are currently looking for jobs. So I have lots of things to judge. Now, maybe I want a pilot that can fly a specific aircraft. I can always train them on that aircraft, but I could just get somebody who's already qualified. So I can filter up at the top here and say I want people that can fly jets, and it'll only show me people who can fly jets. I can see how experienced they are. Generally, the more experienced they are, the better their skills are going to be, but the more they're going to look for in wages. So it's quite often a good idea to go for someone with low flight hours. So if I organize this, I can see that Roger here has only got 330 hours to his name. He's not bad at punctuality. Stress resistance kind of naff, but he's asking for less than a lot of other people. I can also organize by what they ask. So actually, we can see that some people are willing to work for a bit less, probably because they've got less certifications. So in this case, oh, that's a name. Let's go with Douglas here. So I'm just going to say, right, let's look at Douglas. I'm going to click evaluate. There he is. I can see him. I can see how old he is. He's only 23 years old. He's only got about 900 hours to his name. This is the kind of money he's looking for. I can see that he's pretty good with punctuality. He's kind of mediocre with resistance under stress. And I can see down here what he's certified to fly by default. And I have two options for hiring him. I can hire him outright. So I have to pay him 85.5 credits for every flight hour he does, and I pay him a minimum of 1,230 per week. And to do that, I could say, go to EGCC, and I could hit sign contract, and he will work for my company. Maybe I don't actually want him I just want him for a single flight or something. So what I can actually do is I can hire him as a freelancer. So here I have to pay a lot more per hour. So I have to pay 150 per flight hour instead of 85, and I have to pay 544 per day, but I can hire him for up to 3 days or just one. So if I only want him for a brief time and I don't actually want to keep him around for a long time, because I will have to pay severance pay if I fire him. So I can do that, and I can just type it in the bottom box here and hire as a freelancer. So he would be my employee, but only for 1 day. So it's an option you have between the two. And the same applies to all other kinds of employees. So flight attendants, exactly the same. I can go to the job market. I can switch to flight attendants on the tab. I can organize by how much they want. I can filter them by what they're qualified to work on. And I can go in, I can evaluate them, see the details, and I can hire them outright, or I can hire them for 1, 2, or 3 days as a freelancer. Same applies to mechanics as well. And that is about all there is to know about the basics of employees. Once you have an employee, you might want to do some additional things with them though. So I have here Douglas that I hired earlier, and he's a freelancer. So if I went to manage him, there's only two options. I could transport him. I can have him get on public transport and go somewhere else. So it just asks me where I want him to go and he'll travel. Or I could tell him to go rest now, because he has a duty time, and if you don't get enough rest, you'll get penalties for making him work beyond his duty time. But right now he hasn't actually started any duty because I haven't made him do anything, so it doesn't matter. So what if I actually had an employee that actually works for me? Because that's going to open some other options. So let's have a pilot here. Let's have a look at Danuta here. Let's see, Danuta, there she is. So I'm going to hire her at Manchester as well. So she now works for me outright. You see, she doesn't have a freelance end. But when I go in to manage her, I have some additional options. So I can transport, just like I could with the other one. I can relocate. Now, a relocation is setting where her home airport is. So if I take Danuta here somewhere, and we land and then we fly back to Manchester, I'm not going to get charged for hotels because she lives in Manchester. But if I was to leave her in, say, Paris, I would have to pay hotel rates for the days that she spends in Paris, or have a FBO with crew rooms, and she would stay at the FBO. The rest now is just the same. Training. This is a new button. So training, I've got two options for training. I can go here, and she's not trained to deal with multi-engine piston C aircraft, so I could choose that. It's going to cost 5,000, and it's going to take about 2 days, and I could hit start training, and she would start training for that. I can also give her skills training. So a good policy is to hire people that aren't very good, because you could train them up, and you're not paying them as much because they're not very good, but they will get better as you keep training them. And this is going to take about a day per, and it's going to increase both skills. The amount it increases by is relative to how much they currently have. So someone who's low skilled is going to gain skills faster, and then as they get higher skilled, the increments are going to get lower. But you can always get them to maximum skill if you keep going, and that costs about 1,300 per day. And finally, of course, I can fire. Now, as I mentioned before, if you fire someone, I'm going to have to pay severance, so it's going to cost me about 3,000. It's going to fluctuate based on what their salary is, but that's an option. So that's why you might want to take on the freelancers, because it's going to cost you less overall if you only want them for a very short period. And that is basic employee management.